Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Ksa Talk Show. Today is 2019, November 10th, Sunday, 3 o'clock p.m. San Francisco time. And we need to talk. We have a lot to talk. And today's main topic is live coding plus tutorial of Emacs Lisp. So let's start brave and let's see what's going on in Xali Discord, Xali fan club. uh, so uh, I want to thank to Emily and a lot of people there um, who who helped making the Discord channel thrive. And so there's a lot interesting stuff. There's a lot of photos of keyboards and real life pictures of different cities and stuff. So if you are not there, join up. So Discord, you can find the URL at. Let's go to my Xatalk page show and Xatalk show page, and you can see the Discord channel. Where is it? Okay, here. So join up. It's fun. Um, so good morning, Matt. So technically, it's like Xa fan club. How else would you call it? But but you guys, we have certain interest, that's converged together. So you guys can talk about that. People can talk about that. Whenever I've been thinking of starting something like channels like that over in the past years. There's always the question, how involved should I be? Because if I'm too involved, then it just becomes a place where everyone just go there and ask me questions. I cannot do that because then it's like all the questions just gonna ask me questions about Emacs, things like that. So, and the other thing is, I thought, it's always with me. I didn't want to like intrude too much. So on the other hand, on the opposite extreme, the ideal is that people just get there and talk about, my live stream and my stuff. That is I don't think that is reasonable as well. So, but anyway, so when you have a question like that in real life, you have a lot of questions. So I usually look up. So what do other people do? Apparently there are many famous YouTubers. They all programmer celebrities, and they are far more popular than me. 100,000 followers or something. And so what do they do? So some YouTubers, programmer YouTubers, they also have like a Reddit channel dedicated to their stuff. And what they do, well, they just they are kind of they just be normal. Okay, I guess. This is my channel, so you guys can talk about it and go there. That's how they do, I guess. So anyway, so today's talk show, we're gonna do this Emacs Lisp, the wonderland of Lisp and Emacs. So let's start, magnify, and go over here, start command log mod. And you can see all my Emacs commands on the left window here. If you guys have questions, comments, and questions, okay? So Emily says maybe it always is after you wake up. The crazy Ksa world where it's always morning. Yes, good morning. Hello, beautiful people. Hello to Czech Republic. And hello to London and Germany and London. Where's Bart? We missing Bart. Bart is getting pissed about my random schedule. Yeah, my random schedule is a problem. So XR Talk Show. So let's start. XR Talk Show. Today's date. XR new page. Link it as a list. Put it here. Remove that. Open it. Show in browser. Okay, and we're gonna talk about fantastic stuff. And here's a wonderful song. You can check it out. Well, yeah. In the link is in Discord. Alice in Wonderland, looking through the looking glass. This was my favorite book. I read it several times uh, over different years. I would say it was my favorite book of all times. Was not today um, because after all, this is just kind of like a nonsense. I mean, so anyways, so it's not a talk show. So this is what we're gonna do. Uh, we are going to write a command. We're gonna do live coding of Emacs Lisp. Write a command to open a buffer in browser. For example, this page right now, I can press a button. Let me show you that. Okay, so press a button, it shows in browser, and I can also call a command. You see, XR open in Brave. Okay, enter. It shows the page in Brave browser. Okay, and then I have another command. Let's see. This command is open link in Brave. It will open the current the URL under the cursor. So let's call it open link in Brave. Okay, so it opens that link in Brave browser. So there are two different commands. One is open the current buffer in browser. The other one is open the link under cursor in the browser. And today we are going to try to merge these two commands into one. Okay, so there's quite a lot of topics I want to talk about actually. So on related to these two topics. So let's go back to where to here, and so you see I have two commands to open buffer in Brave and open link in Brave. You see they are browser specific. That is, you don't just open the default browser. I want to specifically open this buffer or link in Brave browser. Now there are variations of that command. You can see. Let me show you here variations of the command. So you can see open in Google Chrome. So we have open in Google Chrome browser, the current buffer, or open link in Chrome. So that's Google Chrome. Then you also have Firefox versions. You also have Brave browsers versions. Then you also have Safari versions. Wait, I'm missing one. Open link in Safari. But anyway, for each browser, you have two versions: open the current buffer or open the link under cruiser. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna write this command from scratch. The code is already here. You can just go there and copy it and use it if you like. But since we are doing live coding tutorial, I'm gonna teach something about Emacs Lisp so you can learn from. But Emily is a master of Emacs Lisp. Good morning, Bart. You are late. So, hello, beautiful people. Hello, beautiful people says Czech Republic is pronounced Czech Republic. Yes, that's right. Czech Republic. Good morning, George. George from Australia and currently in Taiwan. So, okay, comments or questions on today's topics. So let's do it. So I'm going to. So let's let us write it down. When you are confused, you write it down. So I write it down. I'm confused. Okay, so where are we? Okay, here. So magnify and show in browser, show this command window. So we're gonna code a elisp command to open current buffer in what browser? In Chrome. Let's say Chrome. Okay, then we're gonna modify it. Code the elisp command to open current link under cruiser in Chrome. Okay, so that's two commands. Then we are going to merge these two commands. Let me show you. So again, you can see here's the code. Let's see. Okay, open in Chrome. So there's one command to open buffer, one command to open link. Now, ideally, it's not necessarily ideally, but you could have these two commands in one. So user do not have to think about which one to call, because you can call the command so that if the cursor is under a link, such as over here under this link, then it opens that link. Otherwise, if the cursor is not a link, it'll just open the buffer. So we're gonna merge these two commands, and that code has not been done yet. That's what we're gonna do. Let's see how much time I've been talking, because this will be okay. We talk about for 11 minutes. But so join Discord. Lots of things going on there. Join Discord. We miss you. Yeah, because and your project. You can create another project. That's so this project is probably gonna be dead, because since now I started to have Discord and it's busy. So you can probably do something that's also useful. Okay, so let's get to the Emacs, shall we, or shall we digress more? Okay, so we're gonna write the command from scratch. Then we're gonna try to open a link. Okay, so let's do that then. Okay, let me also mention, in Emacs, so you see I have so many commands to open different to open in specific different browsers. There's also a command to open the current browser. For example, I press a button right now. For example, you see, if I press a button, it will just launch the current buffer in whatever is the default browser. According to the operating system, the preferences, whatever you set. So, for example, I press a button, it opens in Firefox, and that command is called you see, I just called that command, this one, XHTML browse URL of buffer. Now, if I go to Mac OS and change the default browser, let's see, go to General and change the default browser, let's say to Brave. Okay, then I call the same command, I press the key, then you see it opens in Brave. It just opens in whatever default browser. So there are quite a few variations of these commands. So that command is called XHTML browse URL of buffer. So why so many browsers? I mean, usually you don't need to, but if you are a web developers, then you might need that. So that's the reason I need it. For my own purposes, I need different browsers for different purposes. But if you are a web dev, that might be useful. So let's start coding. Yeah, so let's just, okay, so before we do that, let me mention though Emacs itself has built-in all these commands. Emacs has them built in. So let me show you. So we call a propose command. Okay, then you type browse, BROWS, Okay, enter. So you can see in this window, Emacs has tons of these commands. You see, browse URL Chrome. That is similar to that. That basically means open the current buffer in Chrome browser. Okay, then browse URL Chromium. Okay, Chromium is the open source version of Google Chrome, the engine. The browse URL Conqueror, browse URL default macOS browser, browse URL window browser, browse URL E-Link. I don't know what that is. Browse URL Emacs. This sends to Emacs browser. Okay, it's stupid. So it's let me finish. Then we talk about that. The stupidity of all the open source Emacs things. So browse URL Epiphany, Epiphany, then you have browse URL Firefox Scallion, generic, GNOME Mars, browse URL GNOME Mars, browse URL KDE, then browse URL Mosaic, browse URL Mozilla, and browse URL Netscape. Crap! A bunch of when I need a command like that, I look at Emacs. Oh, it's all building until you try them. Nothing works. None of them works. And most of these are long time dead, like Epiphany. So you are looking at the history of the internet over the trend of the past 20 years. That's what you are looking at. This Scallion, this KDE, this Galleon browser. Anyone still using that Galleon? Like who knows what Galleon browser is? Anyone? Good morning, Danielle Langlois. Uh, so Galleon, you see, and Epiphany, these are kind of, I think, these are like in 2000s, they have on Linuxes, you have these browsers, they come and go. Then you have browse URL Netscape. Netscape, it's dead for 20 years, and it's still in Emacs. Browse URL Netscape. And for example, they have browse URL Firefox. Let me show you the idiocy. Let me demonstrate the fact. I mean, let me prove it to you how the idiocy of the Emacs, the phonetism. Okay, so we have here browse URL Firefox. Okay, let's try it. I love it. Oh, it will save me days of coding my own commands, and save me from the Emacs fanatics who doesn't like me, who will call, oh, Xai is a troll, he doesn't know nothing. It's all built in, but he spent time to create his own versions. This fuck. This fanatics, I'm sorry. let's avoid let's avoid going crazy. So browse URL Firefox. Okay, I want to do that. Yeah, lovely. So let's try it. Meta X browse URL Firefox. Okay. Oh, it asked me to type a URL. What the fuck? Okay, it asked me to type a URL. Let's say xali.info. Enter. Whoops! Searching for a program. No such file or directory. Firefox. What an idiocy. Infuriating. Let's try this. Browse URL Chrome. Okay, same thing. Is browse URL Chrome. Nothing. No such file directory. So what does that mean? So if you are Emacs fanatics, that means you start you need to look at documentation. Okay, let's look at the documentation. Browse URL Firefox. Okay, what does it say? Let's see. Okay, magnify. So browse URL Firefox and this and ask Firefox www browser. You see that terminology is the history of internet. You don't call it www anymore. That's 1990s. So ask the Firefox www browser to load URL. Defaults to URL around or before point. Okay, passes the string to the variable browse URL Firefox arguments to Firefox. Okay, so interactively, blah 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 blah. Loads a document in Firefox window. What the fuck they're saying? You have to you have to now think what's going what is the Emacs technique jargons is talking about. you have to spend 2 hours just to understand what it's saying. Okay, interactively, if the variable browse URL new window flag is nil, loads the documentation in a new Firefox window. Blah 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 blah. This is the the complexity of the generality of Emacs. Emacs supposed to be, oh, you can configure everything. Yeah, but it doesn't work. So if browser URL Firefox new window is tab is nil, then whenever a document would be otherwise be loaded in Windows, it is loaded in new window. Blah 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 blah. Use the optional second argument new window instead of okay. Nothing about setting a file path. Fuck. It's gonna the Emacs fanaticism. It doesn't say nothing. Right now. So I just tried the command. It doesn't work. It says I need a path. Then okay, I read the doc. There's no doc. There's nothing about it. What are you supposed to do? Yeah, so if you are a Linux fan, you're gonna spend hours digging it, and you say, "Oh, Emacs is fantastic." Yeah, and anyway, so that is about that. So Emacs has these hundreds of these browser URL, and most of them are outdated. They don't work. In fact, I tried this like 10 years ago, exactly like 2000 to 2008. I tried it was on on Windows. I don't remember if I tried it on Linux. Maybe some of them work in Linux, some of them for sure, because Scallion and Mozilla, many of them, they just bit rot. And so anyway, so let's start to write our own. Okay, so let's begin that. Emacs Lisp. Okay, we create a window. So Emacs Lisp. So let's define. We already start coding. Let's say open in. Let's just say Firefox. Okay, the browser you can change yourself. Like Brave, Firefox, Chrome, Safari. You can change it, the name. You see? Okay, so we are starting to write this function. Now, there are two main issues about writing the function. The two main difficulties. One is Emacs Lisp. Okay, like if you are a beginner, then you don't know what to do, right? So that's one of the difficulty. Now, the second difficulty is about actually finding out how to launch a browser in different operating systems. For example, on the Mac, on Windows, on Linux, they all have different mechanisms to open a browser, to launch a browser. I mean, you have to do this programmatically. So that is kind of nasty, because the Emacs Lisp part is in a sense simple, because you just study Emacs Lisp. Everything is well documented, and it's a language you learn. And so I know Emacs Lisp well, so I have no problem writing these commands. But the difficult part is how do you actually from Emacs Lisp, you have to talk to the operating system to tell it to launch your browser, and also feed it arguments like what URL, things like that, or whether to open a new tab or default or the current window, or you wanted to launch a new instance, or just use the existing instance if it's already there. So this part, about talking to OS, that is actually, I would say the more nasty part, because these kind of things, they change over the years, and it gets really complex. Different operating systems, they have different ways, and especially on Linux, on Linux. So let's just start to code it, and let's see what happens. Okay, so 24 minutes, I'm doing okay. So today is probably gonna be 90 minutes. Oh, hello, beautiful people! Thank you so much for the for the super chat. Good morning, Sin2. Sin2 is from China, I think. Are you from China? Good morning, George Jones. So Guardian is a GNOME desktop. It's Gecko based. Is it still around or is it like long dead? Epiphany is standard browser in elementary OS. I think so. Elementary is a windowing system, right? On the Linux, back then. This is 2005 also. Linux is like got all these things thriving, and they are showing fancy windowing systems with shining fires and transparency. And but actually technically it's crap. It's the worst crap. But if you don't use Linux, like during 2000s, I don't use Linux, but I've looked, I observed they have a website of galleries, all of the screenshots, of this KDE with whatever window management system. There's a new one like back then where they show composition, transparency, and 3D visual effects. Like when you switch window, for example, I switch between Emacs and Chrome. Then they show a 3D box like you you. That's 2008, and then once you use it, it's crap. It's worst crap. Linux, truly infuriating idiocy. Good morning, Miranda. Miranda, where you from? um, Okay, let's get back to Emacs Lisp then. It only works if you have Firefox in shell path. That's yes, that's true. Because I've tried to use it. I've done that. But you see, ultimately, so like I have two choice. So if I want a command to open a specific browser, I have two choices. One, just write your own, like what I've done. Write your own. Two, use the Emacs, those built-in ones, but try to, find the proper way to fix it. Like find out what you need to do, like set the path and so on, and use that. So many of them will choose that choice because that is more kind of you know more conventional. I mean more approved by the Emacs community because that's what you want to do. But to me, actually, writing your own is actually simpler and works better. Yeah, in my opinion, because you know why? Because if you well, if you don't know Lisp, maybe not. But if you already know Lisp, writing your own is good is probably better because you have control. Because right now, for example, I have all these commands. It just works. It works in Windows. It works in Mac. It works in Linux. Okay, and it's pretty simple. It just works. You don't have to install. You don't have dependencies. You don't have to install. You don't have to trick. You don't have to have another code that sets a path. You know you make things simple. That's the thing. But if you follow, if you try the Emacs standard way, like we showed before, like let's say describe function. Okay. For example, we showed this browse URL Firefox. You read the doc, you have all these options, flags. People want to control it. Whether new tab or not new tab. Things like that. And just make it anyway. Let's start coding. With it. So let's just start coding. Let's try to do this fast because I already spent 30 minutes flaming. So this is kind of a default template. Open in Firefox. Okay, not Firefox. Okay, open in Firefox. So we want to open the current buffer. Open buffer. Let me try to do this quickly if I can. Open buffer in Firefox. So what we want to do, we want to first of all get the buffer path. file path. Okay, and okay, let me do this in the simplest kind of way. So don't worry about the proper style. I mean, if you are Emacs Lisp coder, you'll criticize, oh, this is wrong, you should do it that way. But let me just do this. You know, let me just show the basics of Emacs Lisp, so people knew about Emacs Lisp. You can learn how to do it. So set path, file path. So you want to find the current buffer's path, and how you do that is that command is buffer name, buffer file name. Okay, I think that's it. Let's see. So describe function to look at what it does. Okay, buffer file return name of file buffer is visiting. Right. Okay, so that should be it. For example, I can evaluate this, and the answer is indeed. You see in the mini buffer it says the current path of the file. So buffer file name will return the current path of the file location associated with this buffer. Now, if this buffer is not a file, then it returns nil. Okay. So we set the file path, and now we just call shell command. Okay, shell command. Okay, shell command. We want to. Okay, here's a tricky part. Remember I said there are two parts to writing the command. One is knowing Emacs Lisp. The other one is about knowing how to call, how to talk to operating system to launch a browser or any app. So this part is operating system specific. So right now I'm on a Mac. I know what to do just by experience. So let me just do that. Then we will talk about how to do on Windows and stuff. And you also have to find out like whether you are on a Mac or Windows or on Linux. But let's just do this, get it to work. So shell command. So what you do is you call open. So what is open? Open is a built-in Mac OS command. So for example, okay, so let's open a new buffer. I mean new terminal here, so you can see, magnify. Okay, so let's see if I can magnify. So open is a built-in Mac commands. Okay, let's say open Firefox. Oh, okay, so actually you have to say -a means application, and we want to open using Firefox, and let's say open a URL. So let's say xali.info. Okay. Oh, xali.info does not exist. I guess. Okay, so let's say the current directory. Yeah, let's just say current directory dot. Okay, there you have it. You open the current directory in dot. Now, if you want to open URL or something, you have to. Here's what we do. So man open, we look at the open documentation. So then you can read about how to pass the argument to the application. So there it is. So this is actually one way to do it. Another way is you call Firefox directly. So let's see which Firefox. Okay, so let's try it again. Which Firefox, capital F. Okay, so which Firefox dot app. Okay, so let's try it again. Firefox dot app. Command not found. Let's try it again. Capital F Firefox dot app. Not found. So you see, this is what I mean by the tricky part of operating system. This is all OS specific. Now, actually, I know how to call that command. I think the full name it would be this. Okay, so let's try it. Let's just try it blindly. So this is trial and error methodology. Firefox. It works universally. So slash application slash firefox dot app slash contents slash macOS. Let's just try it. Then Firefox. Okay, there we have it. There you go. So you see, there are many. There's kind of many ways to do it. You can call Firefox directly, or you can call the macOS open command. I think the open command is better. It's more, it's designed to open apps. So we can just do this Emacs Firefox. Okay, open Firefox, then file path. Okay, so shell command. So we need file path here. Optional, we don't care. Okay, but this doesn't work because the file path needs to be evaluated. So what you do is you can concact. So here is what you do. Okay, so concact yeah, not concact. Oh yeah, concact works fine. So open Firefox file path. Let's try it. Let's evaluate this code. Yeah, that works. So concact, that's what we want. Put it here and remove that, and make it pretty. So that should be it. Let's double check. Shell command will Emacs shell command will call, will basically call a shell. Use the shell to call it. So open Firefox, then file path. So evaluate this buffer. Done. Let's go back to some HTML, and now let's call open buffer in Firefox. Okay, let's call open buffer in Firefox. Let's see. Please make it work. Please. Symbols value as variable is invalid file path. Okay. Symbols value is invalid. Why is it invalid? Oh, because we are doing it outside of the let. You see, it must be inside the let. Okay. Eval buffer. Okay, now go back to some HTML page, then call open buffer in Firefox. The file blah 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 dot show Firefox does not exist. Okay, so let me show you the message buffer so you can see the error. Message buffer, magnify, make it one window. So what is it saying? So it is saying, so the user talk show Firefox does the file does not exist. Okay, what do you mean the file does not exist? So let file path set q file path equals to buffer file path name. Then let's call shell command. So what do you mean? Why is the file path does not exist? Okay, let's try to find out. Print. Okay, this is the best way to debug. Print statement. Eval it. Go back to an HTML file, and let's watch the messages buffer. And now let's call the command. Call it. So it is actually passing this. So our file path value is actually this, which is different from the error message it's trying to say. It's not a talk show, so it's dropping the. Okay, so there's something strange. Okay, I think I. Oh, okay, because Okay, so here's what we need to do. So let's add a new command. So this is command string. So this is, we are showing debugging skills. We want to set seq command string, and so we can see what our commands is. And let's, there we have it. So we are going to print out command string. Let's see what we have and comment that out. Eval the buffer, go back to HTML, call the command. Let's see. So the command we are calling is open file. Oh, we missing the dash a. What an idiocy. Open dash a. Yeah, what an idiocy. Eval the buffer, go back, try it. Open buffer in Firefox, and indeed it's going to call this command. Seems correct. Now let's actually make it a shell command, and run it. It will actually call the shell command. So now let's try it again. Yeah, yay, fantastic, success. Okay, successful. So we need to, oh, thank you, Zintu. Should have checked my comments. That would be Enlightenment desktop environment. Best room is clean, tidy room. Best room. Oh, oh, there's a message attached. Best room is a clean, tidy room. Now I need to clean my room. Okay, okay. I'll give it a shot. I'll spend an hour doing that today. So its own distro based on Ubuntu. It visually reminds me of OS X. Okay, so we are talking about Enlightenment. I don't think it was a distro back then. Maybe maybe you are right. It was. Okay, so okay, so Emily complains. Why are you putting the setq here, and as opposed to, let's see, so like that. That's a good that's a good question. Well, only because I'm trying to do it fast. Because you see, when you put it here, then you have more complex issues. Like right now, okay, let's try that. So so you can, if you want to set the value to a variable, you can directly put a let if you already know the value, like this simple. So you can do that. But then we need also to put a command here. You can, so we can also do it, put a value here. And in that case, the value will be this, concat. But then there's complexities, because now the file path depends on this value before. Then you cannot use let. Then you have to use let star. So the difference between let star and let is that let star will, the older, the latter variable values can depend a value that, that's set before, like that. So, so there's some details, so I was thinking to, not talk about that. But yeah, but this, so by Emacs convention, typically you want to do it this way. But again, as my typical unusual opinion, I don't think that's necessarily good. Because why? Because if you just stick with this format, where let is just a bunch of variables, then you have a bunch of set, this way, this format will be universal. Because if you do things this way, you wouldn't have variations like let, then sometimes let star. Let me try to do that. Or sometimes, like even if you use it this way, even if you do this way, then you see some variables you don't know the value until you run some complicated code. You see, so some variables you will have a value directly like that, but some others then you either have a big chunk of code, but sometimes you just cannot. You have to do it. You have to use setq in the body of the code. So what I'm saying is that if you try to use this form of let, where you set a value to variables, then you have kind of various um, formations, like and it's necessarily so. You cannot just enforce one format. It's like sometimes you have let, then you have let star, then you have let with some has values, some doesn't. That happens in the body. So you see what I'm saying. So that is my complaints about the idea where some Emacs, the issue of style, some Emacs conventional issue of style. So what do you think about that? Uh, so what do you think about that? My retort. Well, yeah. So what my so my opinion about how using a simple let of this format is has advantages. Let's say the other thing is when you use this let format where you have variables value together. You see, the thing about Emacs is that Emacs Lisp is not a typed language, not strongly typed, and there is no concept of constant in Emacs Lisp. So even if you do that, you can still change the value of the variable in your body. So it kind of so this way of this style does not carry the semantic advantage of declaring constants. So rather, it's kind of just the advantage of it, if any, is just kind of visual. It helps you maybe organize. It makes the code easier to understand. So it's not really significant. So that so that's my little details about coding style in Emacs Lisp of the various forms of let. So a little bit history, like personal history. Like in the beginning, 3 or 4 years of my Emacs Lisp coding, I always stick with this format. Like always, I'll never do this. I'll never do this, and never let start neither. I always just stick with that because for the reason I just gave. I don't think those others are better. I don't think they are better. That's the first like 5 years of my Emacs Lisp coding. But today, if you look at my code, I do use a lot of these. And when I do this, it's usually because the variable I consider it constant. Like if you see in my code, if you see this form, that means I will never change the value of this file path in the body of the code. So I started to do that, and that's not ideal either because, like I said, Emacs does not have constant concept. So this is merely kind of a convention. Um, so so I've been thinking actually going back to this. So I'm fastidious about this. I think about this a lot. I worry about it every day, like whether you should use camel case or you should use snake case or whatever, or dash case. I worry about every day. I obsess about it and going back and forth. Okay, so that's about that. So Emily says I can send messages, and that's the one message that posts through. Oh, okay. That yeah. So YouTube, yeah, YouTube. They have a mechanism that. Hold on. Okay, so let me do this. Let me copy that. Okay, I think we been talking a lot and not doing much Emacs Lisp, but let me let me do this. Um, because there's actually a lot to do, a lot to continue with that Emacs Lisp. Actually, so that's a comment for today. I'm saving it right now because I'm about to switch to live chat. When you do that, often it cuts off some of the talk. So that's what you mean, right? You cannot post messages. Anyway, post to Discord then. Programming. Okay, so Emily says I see use of setq like use of go to. Okay. Yeah, but it's not go to, right? So like it breaks the nice functional aspect. Um. Hmm. Okay. So okay, I see what you're saying, but still, it's kind of it's really it's rather all about just visual style. I mean, it has nothing to do with semantics, right? So, but your usage work well, yeah. So okay, so let's just do let's continue with our commands. Okay, so we did this. Okay, now it works. Now what's the next problem? So next problem, we need to get this command to work on Windows and Linux. And how do you do that? So you have to. So there's a variable called, I don't remember. Okay, so let's go to let's just go to my code so we can save time. So there's a variable called where is that? So let's magnify. Open in VS Code system type. Okay, so here is a variable system type. Okay, system type. Now system type is a built-in variable that tells you what operating system you are in. So we want to check which operating system we are in because we need this command to work on Windows and Linux. So we need a condition. So condition if, so this is the form for condition. So if string equal why don't I have string equal? Okay, oh, there it is, string equal. So if string equal system type, if the string is Darwin. Now Darwin is GNU Emacs name for Mac OS. Okay, that's idiotic. Okay, for political reasons. So anyway, because Darwin is the kind of the open source core of Mac OS. Okay, so anyway, so if we are on a Mac, then we do something. Okay, then if we are on Windows, now Windows name is Windows NT, then we do something else. If we are on Linux, then GNU wants to call it GNU Linux politics. Okay, then we do something. Okay, this is how you do it. Then otherwise, we can say otherwise um, error. Okay. Now the error command is just like messages. it prints an error and stops the program. So otherwise, error, you screwed, logic problem. You got a logic problem. Okay. Well, actually, it's not a logic problem because it's possible if someone else is on Solaris or some of the weird operating system. Your OS is crap. is not is not pop. Therefore, not supported. Okay, something like that. Okay, so we write a condition. Let's make it pretty. And so if we are on the Mac, so let's clean the whole thing here. We actually need to okay, let's just clean them up. Shell command clean them up. So if it's on the Mac, then you say that. So if it's on Windows, then you have to do something. Then if it's on Linux, you have to do something. Now, since I'm on a Mac, I cannot test on Windows. So let's just copy the code we have here. So this code is open in Firefox. So we have, well, I don't have the version in Firefox. So let's just let's look at my source code. Okay, so let's paste the whole thing here. Now this is the code for open in Chrome, but you can see, let's just copy the condition part. Okay, so you can see the condition part. So if it's on the Mac, then it does something more complex because it's trying to, because that command will open several files in diode. If you are in diode, you can do that. For example, let me show you. So I want to open okay, this is too big a window. So I want to open this file and this file and this file in Chrome browser. I can do that. So Chrome, okay, so let's try again. Open Chrome. So HTML open in Chrome browser. Do it. You see, it'll open all three pages. Okay, so you see that's kind of useful sometimes. So that is why you see this map thing. But basically, what we need is to find how do you call on Windows. How do you launch your command? So we can see the Windows code here. This is how we do it. There are many ways to do it. Okay, like I said before, but this is the way I happen to do it. So actually, we don't need the map. So this is how we do it. We call start process, then we call PowerShell, then we say start process again. That's part of PowerShell command, start process. Then you say Chrome. In this case, since we are doing Firefox, so that should be Firefox. I think it will work. So this is how if it's Windows, this is how you do it. Now, if it's Linux, it's more complex. Okay. So if it's Linux, let's see. Okay, so string equals to Linux. Okay, so here is how you do it. Let's just okay, so you shell command, then Firefox. Yeah, that should be it. That's how you do it. Okay, so we we spend a lot of time to write this simple function. But basic, okay, so it does illustrate what we want to do. So the file path, this is wrong. Uh, that should work. Okay, evaluate it. I cannot test it, on Windows or Firefox, but okay, yeah. So my keyboard is Kinesis Advantage. I showed that in many of my videos, like almost many of them. And you just search for XRD Kinesis, you'll find my website with a video, full review of it. Okay, I think we did this, but there's actually a lot to talk about. Okay, we did this function. The next problem is to open the link under cruiser in a specific browser. Now, how to open a specific browser is all here already. We covered that. So the problem is about how do you get the URL under the cruiser. So that's the next command we can do. And also after that, then we can merge these two commands. Okay, so I don't know. This is maybe this is good enough for today. So let's look at the comments. So you guys have comments, questions? Should I continue to the next one about writing a command that opens the URL under cruiser in a browser? Should we do that, or maybe that should be it today, or maybe we talk about some other things? So let me know. Okay, so guys, comments, let me know. Let me get a drink. Okay, tea. So do I look okay? Yeah, I look okay. Because it's quite dark here. Actually, let me turn on the light. Under cruiser is interesting. Okay, let's do that. Let me turn on the light. Okay. Yeah, Emily is a Lisp expert. Emily has coded, lots of Lisp code. So, did you try the Stump WP or Stump WM? That's a Linux window manager written, tiling window manager written in Common Lisp. Have you tried it? Okay, so let's do the okay. So let's just do this. Okay, so let's copy that. Base our code on previous code. Copy paste is the most powerful methodology in programming. Truly, in practice. Right. So yeah. So let's do open buffer in open link in Firefox. Okay. So it says open link under open the URL or file path under cruiser in Firefox. Okay, that's our doc string. And here you need doc string. Okay, open buffer. Okay, so doc string open URL or file path under cruiser in Firefox. That's great. Doc string is great, but it doesn't do nothing. You have to write code. Okay, so you need to write code. So file path, we need that just like before. Then open the URL. Okay, so now the problem is how do you grab the path under cruiser? Okay, you can do that by There are so many ways. Okay, so let's try let's go with the easiest conventional Emacs default way. So there is a thing. There's this built-in package called thing at point. So let's use that thing at point. Okay, so you can look at the documentation. Basically, what it will do is that it'll get, for example, let me show you. It's easier than explain. Okay, so let me remove all that. Okay, remove all that. So thing at point URL. What that means is that it will grab the text around the cursor. That's a URL. And so, for example, let's do this path. Okay, so set path to that. Okay, so we're gonna set path. So that's what it does. It returns the URL under the cursor. So this is actually the easiest way, but it's got problems. We might talk about it today, but you can search for Xali thing at point problem, then you'll find my article. It's a bit technical, but that's so one of the problem is that, you see, for this command, sometimes the thing is a URL. For example, google.com or some website you want to, that's under the cursor, you want to open. But some other times you have a link that's not that's a local file path. You also want that. So you want to be able to use this command. Doesn't matter if the wait, let me show you. Okay, so you want to be able to use the command whether the URL is maybe it's a URL or it's just a local file path. You want to be able to call the command on either one of them. But if you use the thing at point URL, then if your cursor is under a file path, it'll be screwed. It won't work. So that's kind of the problem what I'm talking about, thing at point. Of course, there are solutions, but let's just go with this. Okay, so path is thing at point, and okay, so we are already done. Actually, so this is so simple. So let's say, yeah, this should be it. Let's try it. Okay, so eval the buffer, copy the command name, go back to a URL page. I mean an HTML page. Let's move our cursor into a URL somewhere, like here. Okay, so we move it, okay, there. Then call the command, paste the name, open link in Firefox. Yeah, that's right. So do it. There it is. Open file in external app. This is, you see this URL. That's this URL. That's what we want. So it worked. So it's so simple. Oh, it's, my God, this is simpler than I thought, because I thought I was going to do something. But this won't work. Let me just show you. It won't work if you have a file path. So let's try it. So now my cursor is under a file path. So I'm just going to call the command again. Open link in Firefox. Enter. Wait. Close that. Let's try it again. I don't know what's going on. So open link in Firefox. You see, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because you can see it doesn't say, it doesn't even give you error messages. It doesn't work because you see that thing at point. Let me show you that thing at point. This thing at point command, if you give it a URL, it will try to consider whatever is under cursor as a URL, and so it's kind of unpredictable what it actually returns. It does not return, because I've noticed sometimes it will add HTTP in front of it. It's very annoying. So for example, let's see what's going on. So let's go here, messages, file path. Let's just print it. Okay, eval buffer, go back to this buffer and try it again. Call the command, do it. Okay, now let's go back to Emacs, open the messages buffer and see what it says. Go to the bottom. We just printed it. Where is it? I don't know. Wait, what? Let's try it again. Messages, xxx, this one. Okay, eval buffer. Go here. Try it. Open. Okay. Now go back to Emacs. Okay, you see it says nil. So when the apparently when the thing under cursor is not URL, it returns nil. About 7 years ago, I've noticed it actually sometimes it adds HTTP, like it concatenate a string HTTP, colon slash in front. I hate. So I wrote a rant about it. I don't know. Maybe they fixed it or they changed behavior, something like that. But anyway, we see this problem here. We have this problem. So alternatively, for example, you can also do this file path. I think path or something. Let's see the thing at point. Okay, so you can another file name. Yeah, so you can do file name. But if you do file name, then the URL, if you are under URL, then that doesn't work. So that's a problem. So the way I solve this problem, let's do that, and maybe that'll be it for today. Yes, we can complete this. Yeah, we'll try out tomorrow. Being at busy. Okay, so isn't the using Ultima hacking keyboard nowadays? Well, I'm using both. Okay. So anyway, so how do you solve this problem? So the way I do is you just manually code your own that grabs. For example, let's just do it. Okay, so comment this out. So we want to grab kind of the URL under cursor. So one way we can do it, let me just begin. This is not the final solution, but let me show you. You can see my own solution, the final solution in my in this page. It's already there. But now I'm trying to like teach some Emacs Lisp stuff. So let's do it. So open file. Yeah. So you want to grab the string. Okay. So one first solution is we want to move the cursor to the beginning of the double quote. Then we know the beginning location of the file path or URL. Then we move it to the end of the double quote. Then we know the end position. Then we grab that. So that's one solution to begin with. Okay, so let's do that. So save excursion. Okay, so let's now search forward, search backward. Okay, search backward for a double quote. Okay, that will move cursor to it. Okay, so okay, let's do that. Then set point P1, that's the beginning position. Okay, then you search forward for a quote. Okay, we don't need the rest of it. Then you set P2, that's the end position. So we have two new variables, P1, P2. Okay, then okay, so then set file path to buffer substring no properties. Okay, P1, P2. So the buffer substring no properties will take two positions, then it'll return the string between those positions. Then we set that value to file path. That's how we do it. Now there's a little detail we need to fix, because when you search backward, it will move cursor to before the string, but the actual position is after the string. So what we want to do is forward char. Okay, forward char 1. Then we set the point beginning position. Okay, so that bring the template information. What template? Template information, like what? You mean the messages buffer, or what do you mean, Emily? So we set point. Okay, forward char. Then we set point. And there is another thing we want to do, because if your Emacs Lisp code move the cursor, you better restore it when your command is done, because otherwise when user calls your command, then the cursor ends up somewhere erratic. User don't want that, so you want to restore user's cursor position. So there's a convenient command that's called save excursion. Okay, so what you do is you call save excursion and do whatever you do. So by the end of save by the end of save excursion, it will restore the user's cursor position. So that's what you want to do. Okay, so actually, so that is done. That is I think that is it. Let's double check. So that's our first approach to solve this problem, solve the thing at point problem. P1, P2, so file path buffer. So I think that should be it. So eval buffer, go to some HTML page, put cursor on a file path. Okay, then let's call open-link-in-firefox. It should open the Xatalk show text file. Do it. Oh God, wrong. So it says let binding can only have one value. Oh, okay. So I got some syntax error here. So here's a message. It's just some basic syntax error. Yeah. So this is wrong. Yeah. Let's evaluate again. Back here. Try it again. Do it. Okay. Unexpected end of file while looking for matching. Okay. Yeah. So here's the errors. It says unexpected end of file error while looking for the double quote. So basically what that means is that I know what it means, but you may not know what it means, because I know it because I spent 10 years doing Lisp. So this is kind of you get experience from the error messages. So that error messages came from search forward. Basically it cannot find a string. Well, the reason is, let's see, search backward, then forward char, then set the point, then search forward, then you need to move backward. Okay, so forward char, -1, then P2, P2, P1, P2, then we set the path. That's correct. Okay, eval buffer and go back here. Let's see. Okay, so I think that's okay. Let's try it. Now I'm not sure what is error, but anyway, let's try it again. Trial and error. So call the command, do it. There it is. Fantastic. It works. So we now let's try the URL. So let's go to some URL. This one, call the command, do it. Yay! So now it's great. It's close it, fantastic, it works. So that is about how kind of custom solution. Now this is our first step, but it's not optimal. Why? Because, for example, if you are in a text file or something, you have a google.com. So for example, HTTP, you have let's say someone said, go to this to find info. Okay, so you have a file there. So you want to move the cursor here. You want to call the command and visit that URL. So in this case, our command won't work because it's trying to search for the double quotes. So in this case, you can add, search backward, double quote, or space. Basically, the issue is we want to know what are the delimiters, that brackets the URL. So Emily, what do you mean templates? Template question I asked, but YouTube kept deleting my messages. Stupid YouTube. What did you use to put the template information of a function in your buffer? Oh, that's just my own Emacs Lisp mod. So let me show you. Okay, so that's quickly to answer. So if you look, this is my own Emacs Lisp mod. When I press tab, it calls this command. If the cursor is after a word, then you'll do completion. If the cursor is before a word, then it will do indentation. Now, when it does completion, it will complete the Emacs Lisp function name, and if you press again, it will expand it to a template. And that part is done by Abbrev. So you can see here is all my Abbrev. So you can see this define Abbrev table. So that's all my Abbrev. So if I type, for example, so that's all my Abbrev. Then you see the templates. For example, if I type append, then space, it expands to append, with a bracket. That's how I do it. So it's kind of manual. So you can just grab this if you want. If you want to do that, if you like that. It's manually created. It covers basically the most frequently used Emacs Lisp functions, because I actually did a statistical analysis. I grabbed all the source code. So if you search for XAR Emacs, okay, so eLisp, it's on GitHub and it's also on Mailpa. Yeah, so it's on GitHub and also on Mailpa. You can just get it. Feel free to get the the briefs. Then you can have that. Okay, so we covered, so our current problem is, what if the URL is not bracketed by double quote, or what if it's bracketed by single quote? Let me show you. Okay, so what if it's like that, or what if it's like that? Because sometimes a lot of people use this form. So the solution, basically, you can, I already coded it. You can see. I'll stop that. Let's magnify. So show in desktop, open in terminal, open in Google Chrome. So open in Google Chrome, then here is open link in Google Chrome. So you can see the code here. So I'm giving it several pairs of delimiters. They can be space, tab, return, new line, or any of these brackets or double quote or curly quote. So use them as the delimiter. Then the rest of the code is similar. So that's how I solved that problem. So I think that's it for today. Uh, yeah. So thank you guys for coming by. Any other questions? Any questions? Thank you, hello beautiful people, for the donation. Okay, so that's it for Emacs Lisp. Now maybe we can talk about random things for for a minute or two. So Discord, and against Akira, he's flexible. Yeah. So what is the? Oh yeah, let's look at how many. 1 hour and 25 minutes. We are right on time. Oh, there's one more thing. One more thing, guys. As Steve Jobs says, before, you remember we had a problem of, it's right now we have two commands, open buffer and versus open link. So it's inconvenient. Like every time you have to think whether you want to open the buffer or open the link. It happens to me because sometimes I call a command, but it's opening the buffer instead of the link. So it'd be nice if the cursor is under a link or file path, then you open the link. Otherwise, just open the buffer. So how do you do that? So that's how we want to merge these two commands. These two commands are basically the same. The bulk of it is the same. So how do you solve that? Okay, so the way you solve that is that yeah, actually I have to think about that. So the problem is what we are trying to use the delimiters. We have a bunch of delimiters to grab a URL. So but if the cursor is not under the URL, the possibility, the result is that it might be a huge chunk of text, from arbitrary point, maybe from here to here. So that's one possibility, arbitrary chunk of big text. The other possibility, I think that is the result. You will typically be arbitrary chunk of big text. So how do you? Yeah, so the problem is, how do you know if your cursor is under a file path or a URL? So I think we can go by some heuristics. I think that's what you have to do. There is no one simple, absolute, precise solution. So by heuristic, it means that first of all, we check maybe the string length. For example, if the string length is 1000, then obviously it's not a file path, it's not a URL. So the string length is, if it's less than 300, then okay. Then we also check, well, if the string start with HTTP or FTP or some other URL schema, then we know, okay, it's a URL or file, file colon slash slash. And also, if the whole string does not contain any space, then it's likely to be a URL or file path. Yeah, that is actually a strong heuristic. That's probably something we want to check first. Yeah, so the string needs to be short. The string should not contain any space. uh, and the string typically will either have two slash slash, will either have like colon slash slash, or uh, a bunch of slashes, or okay, yeah, well, there's also a possibility of no slash at all. Yeah, so okay, so so that's how I go about solving that. So a bunch of heuristics. Okay, so that's it for today. So thank you guys for type. So how fast do I type? I don't type very fast. So let's do that, and that's it. Finish the typing test, and that will be it for today. Let's do a type speed demo. Uh, uh, Sorry, typing tutorial. Okay, so you go to my tutorial. Your thought about Discord compared to IRC? I don't think IRC is. I mean, IRC is too old. Basically, 30 years old. Obviously, Discord is modern, and you got video, you got voice chat. We had fun with Emily and the guys and the Hello Beautiful People chatting, voice chat on Discord yesterday. IRC, IRC is a nerds thing, and it's kind of it's dying. It's 30 years old and it's dying. It's replaced by Slack, and and also the newer generation, the millennials and post millennials, the XZ generation, they wouldn't use it. Older people die and die out, so IRC is going away. So typing games. So here we have a bunch. So my typing speed 90 word per minute. Okay, if without practice. If with practice, maybe more. You see, when they talk about typing speed, it's very specific to the website, because it can vary from 10 to 20 word per minute, depending on the website, depending on the word they use. For example, this website, they use the most simple words, no capitalization, most common English words, no period, even no comma, no punctuations. So if you do type that, then it's gonna be fast. On the other hand, like when I was a data entry clerk. I was a secretary in 1991. So I have to go to a temp agency. They hire people. You have to do standard typing test on I think either electric or mechanical typewriter. So I did that. But so back then, you have a letter, dear something something, that's 1991 style of writing, businessmen, salesman people, dear something something, we something something, it's kind of form. So that's back then, the style back then. So you given that, you have to type that, and that is obviously very different from just a bunch of most frequently used words, which is the case with this. Let's go there, typing speed test. So which site is this one? uh, Typing speed test au.eu. Okay, that's that one. Okay, so that one, you go there, and let's turn on JavaScript. So the word matters. Okay, so I mean it depends on the website. Look at this one. Much dog found true or beauty wood is most very simple words, most frequently used words. But on the other hand, if you are gonna type a real form letter, that would be a difference between, I would say, 10 word per minute. I would say. So it really heavily depends. Your score really depends on the website specifically. Also, okay, let's just do this, and we'll say goodbye. I really like 10 fast fingers for the simple testing, for that simple testing. Okay, let's go to 10 fast fingers. Okay, 10 fast fingers. Let's try. And also on my Kinesis keyboard, it will be slower. So it will be faster on the laptop keyboard. And another thing interesting about typing speed is that There's a difference between 1 minute test and 10-minute test and 30-minute test. It's like running. It's a different. When you do, if you are a champion of sprint, you will not absolutely be the champion of marathon. In fact, if you are champion of a sprint, 100 meters, you will be the last one to finish in marathon. And likewise, so same thing with swimming. The distance, the duration matters. There's different techniques. So what I want to say is that typically this typing speed website, they focus on like 1 minute, which is impractical. I mean, that's not real life. They focus on 1 minute because that's fun. That's short, and people can say, "Oh my God, look at this one. This guy 200 for let me just do it." Okay, I'm not going to be. I would say maybe 70. Okay, let's do it, and we'll shut down. Found should him later uh, move along hand and not okay. So it's 81. Yay! Not too shabby. Bye, guys. Now do QWERTY. Now if I do QWERTY, it's gonna be 20 word per minute actually or less. Nah.